Now these are the eat more bars. I don't know if people are familiar with these. They do have nuts in, so if you're allergic to nuts or whatever, be very careful. These things are absolutely brilliant. They keep you going for ages. Like I say, even if it's really, really cold. As you can see, I've got the fire going. It is slowly but surely doing its thing, and hopefully it'll get going there good. Now I have found with the pellets, it's not a bad idea to just add a few more little twigs in the top, just to get that initial heat going. But once that's going, you're good. Yeah. I didn't have much breakfast this morning. I had a bagel, so I'm going to sit and enjoy this and let that build up a bit. Because I don't need a wind shelter today, but I always have my tarps, so I could very quickly throw a tarp. All the branches I cut off the side of here, because I don't want any eye poke branches. Like, it's really easy to turn around and you get an eye injury out somewhere like this and you can't see to get out, you are in trouble, big trouble. So always make sure, you know, always think of your eyes, because it's, oh, here we go, got a bit of gasification going on there. These fires, I don't know if you're aware, but they burn from the top downwards. So once you get that fire going, like now, that's really beginning to get going. So I will stick that in there for a minute. Now a lot of people will connect snow and use that for water and what have you, which is great because you've got to boil it anyway, it doesn't really matter. However, I know that is about right for what I need. So I'm going to set that on there. Now if you're collecting snow for water, I see people fill in a pot and then taking the whole pot and sticking it on there. Don't do that, because the water tastes like garbage. It's horrible. If you've ever done that, you'll only do it once. Yeah. What you do is preheat the pan. Just preheat your pot a little bit, so there's a bit of heat in the metal. Then put some snow in it, so you've got some liquid water in the bottom of the pot already. And then add more snow to it. Melt a bit, add more snow, melt a bit, add more snow. Trust me, it tastes a lot better. There is nothing worse than that horrible burnt water. I don't know what it does to it, but it tastes like burnt water. But it tastes like garbage. There we go. They do have bear spray very handy, because there's a lot of black bears down through here. There are also wolves down through here. Not seen much else that's pretty dangerous. There are cougars and that around this area. Chances of bumping into one of those guys, let me tell you, in 25 years of doing this in these particular mountains, I've only ever seen two that I got close to. One pretty close, way too close actually. And but they usually hear you, see you long before you even know they're there, which is why talking and doing a video like this is a good thing, because as soon as pretty much any wildlife hears human voices, they're gone, and you won't even know they're there. I guarantee you, I've been a lot closer to a lot of wildlife than maybe a lot of people, but you don't get to see it. You hear them, like you'll hear a bear disappear through this forest. You won't hear a coyote, you won't hear a wolf, you won't hear a cougar. They know you're here, because trust me, if a cougar or a wolf wants you, you won't even know they're coming until it hits you. Simple as that. They are so quiet, they walk like ghosts. Yeah. But it's the bears, they're just waking up. They're not very with it at the moment, so always a good idea. So I'm going to need that. Like that. Always have plenty of paracord with it. I'd buy it in 150 foot lengths, it's cheap. And in here somewhere, in this side, I don't really want to take my axe off of there, so we'll leave that on there. In here is my ever trusty spoon. I have several spoons, but this one I like. you're going to do spoons and stuff, you can get titanium ones. Yes, they're very nice and the rest of it. However, they tend to be hot, and if you're eating something and you burn yourself, that's not very pleasant. Yeah. I do have my axe with me. I don't really need it with me today, but I do have it with me. My tea, of course. You'll never see me go anywhere without my tea. Very, very rare will you ever see me go out without no tea. Now I need to put that somewhere where it's not in the snow. Right there, looks good. Right. It's starting to bubble already. Starting to get some decent. Oh yeah, she's getting toasty warm. So we can make some oatmeal here soon. Let's just finish up the rest of my bar. These are so good. Oh, that's better. I'm keeping a listen out for the wind. That's the other problem with putting up a shelter. If I put a shelter up, it blocks my view of everything happening behind me. So when you're out here, I like to know what's around me, what, where, when, how. If any of these trees start doing anything they shouldn't be doing, I can see them and get the hell out the way, hopefully in time. There's a lot of trees around here that are literally snapped off 20-30 feet up in the air, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. That water is pretty much boiling already. Now these little fires, they're great for cooking. Did they give off a lot of heat? No, if I was camping out here, I'd build a nice big long log fire in the bottom of here. Actually, if I was camping, I wouldn't use this spot. I'd sleep under there, because that'd be better. That's flatter, much flatter. So I'd build a shelter under there, add some tarps over the top of that tree. It's a nice big ridge pole. That's probably about a 10-inch ridge pole. You can't get much better than that. And it isn't going anywhere. It's already down, so it can't fall any further than down. So that's good. Actually, it looks like some of the wildlife, maybe some of the deer and that around here have been sleeping underneath here, because it's a good spot. Good spot for them, it's a good spot for us too. But, yeah, I'd build a shelter under there, and I'd have a fire in here. Now, the idea is you want the fire parallel to where you're sleeping, but this location, I'd have to use probably 2 or 3 foot logs rather than big logs. But in terms of firewood, there's enough firewood in here to keep me going for weeks, months, maybe years. Yeah. We're getting good rolling boil going in there now. This has to be a good way to spend the day though. To stomp it out in the middle of the forest somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I couldn't tell you how many trees I'd have to step over to get here. Big ones like this, all over the show. Literally, all the way down through here. Every which way. I was toying with the idea on the way out of here, because I do happen to know that the forest over the top of that ridge over there is that was replanted about 15-20 years ago, so the trees are much smaller, but there is a substantial creek to cross to get up over there, and I don't know if it's frozen enough to walk across it. And you do not want to be in water this time of the year. You really don't. You know, you get cold this time of the year, you're lighting a big firelight really quick. It's actually quite pleasant today. It's only about -3. That's centigrade. But although that might sound cold to some people, trust me, when it's been -20, -30 for a while, -3 actually feels pretty warm. I think in the next couple of days we've got a severe weather warning coming through, and we are back into the -15 to -20 range, I think, for about pretty much next week. I think snow is coming back. As you can see, most of our snow is melted, which is pretty common for around here. That's boiling pretty good, eh? little bit about fire safety, obviously. If you light a fire, you're responsible for that fire. From the moment you light it to the moment it is stone cold out. So here I'm not too worried. I have water with me, I've got tea. Not that you're going to see me pour tea on a fire unless it's an absolute emergency, because I want my tea. Yeah, but there's plenty of snow and ice and all that kind of stuff, and the ground is pretty frozen. Underneath here, I poked some holes in the ground. That little stove is actually sitting on snow and ice. It will probably stick to it for the heat. So I shall make sure I can get that off of there when we're done. Yeah. Always make sure you know how you're going to put the fire out. I don't want the flames coming up around the handle too much there. You don't want any burns out places like this, you really don't. Right, I'm going to keep an eye on that, make sure that's all good, and do some more in a minute. Right, so just to let you see this nice little gasification coming up the side here. The heat goes down, the hot air goes in through these little holes at the bottom here. Oxygen comes in up the side, and the wood gas burns off in the side, and you get a wonderful cooking flame. Absolutely brilliant. Like I say, a couple of handfuls. It is literally a couple of handfuls of those wood pellets. I've timed it in the past. One of my other videos that I've got on there, I timed it with a full charge of pellets, and it lasted about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I'm not going to odds that. That's actually pretty good. Yeah. Oh, it's a shame that you can't smell that on here. I have got a new camera, because my old camera, although it said you could do 29-minute videos on it, the batteries, you were lucky if it lasted 5 minutes. So I have bought myself a new camera, and the sound quality on that one, the new one, it's the GoPro 10 thing. The sound quality from videos I've done recently is excellent. So I'm going to see how it works out with this. Oh, that smells so good. Oh yeah. That's the flame. Look at this. There's no smoke. Look at that. No smoke. Absolutely perfect. That is exactly what you want. And this stove was 22 bucks Canadian. Yeah. So you can't odds that. Well, I can tell you now, that smells absolutely brilliant. People will come out in places like this and you'll see them cooking steak and eggs and onions and carrots, and you know, they got half the kitchen with them. I just saw something move through there. It's actually just a squirrel. Yeah, they got half the kitchen with them to produce a meal, which is great because cooking out in the bush is important. But if you're cooking things like bacon and meat, I can tell you now, we like the smell of bacon, and every bit of wildlife around here for 100 miles is going to smell the bacon and go, oh, bacon, and you're going to attract all kinds of attention. And if you're camping somewhere like this, like if you're sleeping here, I'd be cooking over there. You don't cook where you sleep. Simple as that. Because even this food that I'm doing is an attractant, and out here, anything that smells unusual, like bears and what have you, they're very curious animals. If they smell something that they don't know, they're going to come and investigate because it could be a source of food. Well, if you're cooking bacon, that smell really travels. Look at that, that's done already. I don't know if you can see that without me tipping it all out of there. Oh, that is so good. In actual fact, that is super hot. So I'm going to let that cool down a bit. Now, if I was camping, if you were using this as a survival situation, you can boil up some more water. I have another pot in there that fits inside this one. You can boil up some more water, and in there I have a hot water bottle. You know, the standard red rubber hot water bottles that everybody had as a kid. Let me tell you, very good idea to have one of those in your pack. They're good for carrying water, and the other good thing is you can boil up some water very quickly, put that down inside the layers of your clothes, and that will keep you warm. Let me tell you, if you ever camp out in -20 and you've got a hot water bottle, you think you're in paradise. It's the best thing, best thing in the world. So you can use containers like your water bottle and all the rest of it, but those rubber things, they're flat and they sit in there, and you can, if it gets cold, you can just put the water back in a pot and warm it back up again. You know, oh, that's better. Whoop. Don't do that. I'll be really upset if I drop my oatmeal. Let's give that a go. That is bloody hot. So, we'll stir that around a bit. Let that cool. Like I say, it's about -3 out here today, so it is going to cool down pretty quick. It's, the other good thing about being down here in the forest, way down, these trees are, I don't know, 70, 80 feet tall, I guess. Some of them probably 100 feet tall. But the good thing is the wind down here is next to nothing. So that's the other advantage. Some of the trees, if I go that way, probably about 3 or 4 kilometers, there's a whole bunch of forest out that way that was machine planted. And the trees are only about 4 or 5 inches round at this moment because they haven't been there long. But there's no wind in the bottom of there. Absolutely no wind. So for a camping spot, that's actually brilliant. So I'm not sure what the time is now because I never wear a watch. I don't wear a watch. But I'm going to see how long that lasts on one charge of pellets. Just going to see how long it goes. Oh ho ho. That is so good. The other reason I have this long spoon is my flask that I bring my tea in. It's actually a food jar, so this spoon will actually reach right to the bottom. I have 2 other spoons in there, like the spork things, little plastic ones. They won't reach the bottom of that jar, so if I have stew in there or something and it's really, really cold, you can't get it out the bottom, it's pain. But this spoon is brilliant. I say, you can't get much better fire than that. Like if I was building a fire out of logs to do this, I'd burn. Actually, if you camp in an area, anybody that camps in an area, especially if you're there 3 or 4 days, if you took a picture of when you arrived and then you take a picture of when you leave, the amount of firewood that you actually use is huge if you've got big fires going. Like if you're doing a long log fire and you've got 3 5-foot long logs and they're like 8 inches round, yeah, they're going to last you all night. But you also have 3 more cut just in case, and a pile of firewood and some smaller bits, everything stacked up ready to go just in case. Because if it's -20 and it's pitch black, you can't be worrying about where the firewood is. You need to know where the firewood is, otherwise you ain't waking up in the morning. Simple as that. Oh, this is so good. I know that that's actually going to burn for a very long time. That's really good. Like I say, it folds up. Everything actually fits inside this pot. I have all kinds of other lids and other pots and what have you in there, but the whole thing, the stove, everything all fits in here. I have snare wire in there and all kinds of stuff just in case. But if I don't have all that stuff in my pot, I can actually put all the pellets in here as well for the stove, all ready to go. It just doesn't get much better than that, it really doesn't. A lot of people like those little camping gas things, and if you're up on top of a mountain, you know, those little gas cans, there's a time and a place for everything. The only thing I don't like about those little gas cans, like the white gas or whatever they call it, is you can't fill them back up. Complete waste of a product. Now, once you've used it, it's now garbage. I don't think people should be allowed to make things like that you can't fill back up. Simple as that. It's just a complete waste of a container. I have the little £1 green containers the propane cans, and I quite often use those, but I can fill those back up. They're really easy to fill up. Unfortunately, I don't have a creek close by. There is a creek about 100 meters, I guess, 200 meters that way. But as you can see, this forest is not exactly easy to navigate through. So for washing up a pot, I'm not going to bother. I have bags with me that I bring that I can put dirty stuff in. Considering it's very windy out there, I don't know how well the wind is picking up on that camera, but I can tell you now it is very windy. But down in here it's good. Right, so I grabbed a whole pile of snow, put that in there. I think you'd agree that is reasonably clean. Yeah, certainly clean. Not a lot you can do about the soot now on the outside. I ain't got to worry too much about that. I will clean it up when I get home, and they literally come up as clean as that. These are clean. Snow's good. The only thing with cleaning stuff out in the snow is your hands get cold. So fortunately I have a little tiny fire, which is absolutely perfect just for warming my hands back up. Yeah. I do have gloves and stuff with me, but good trick if you're washing out pots with snow, just put a bit of snow in the bottom, just heat it a little bit so it's actually liquid water now, not just snow. Wipe it around, tip it out, done. Clean pots. Always make sure you keep all this stuff clean. Yeah. So for now, I put that there. Like I say, always have somewhere to put your garbage. Never leave any garbage laying around. I really hate, it's one of my pet hates. I get out somewhere and I find there's a whole bunch of garbage laying around. Let me tell you, that really drives me nuts. Yeah. So now, having had some really nice breakfast, in a good solid base, because I don't want to spill my tea. We've got pine tar on some clothes there the other week. I tell you, that stuff doesn't come out. These have been washed about 3 times since then. Pine tar doesn't come out very well. Oh, that is so good. That tea is good. Yeah. It is about now that I wish I actually had a decent fire going, because I could actually feel the chill start to come through the clothes. So regulate your thing. Having layers is key, obviously, so you can put more things on, take things off as you warm up. It's a good idea. Keeps your ears warm too. Some people want to go on tropical holidays and sit on the beach in the sun and all that kind of stuff, and hats off to them if that's what they like doing. Have at it. Not my thing. Nah, not at all. My idea of hell, burning in the sun on a sandy beach. Yeah, it's nice to listen to the waves, however listening to the wind in the trees is pretty much the same. So, oh, I'd rather be out here in the middle of nowhere. Oh, comes the next lot of wind. I don't know how well that camera will pick that up compared to my old camera, so we will see when I play the video back later. We'll see how well it comes out. This is going to burn for some time, so I will wait here and enjoy this day. May even put my coat on in a moment. Oh, that is good. Oh, you can't beat tea. You really can't. I'd like $1 actually for every cup of tea I've ever drunk. I could retire as a millionaire by now, I should think. So, here's a little trick for people. If you're out in an area and you've got to trim branches off there, like I say, I've taken all the eye poke branches off, so there's no problem here. Always leave pieces sticking out like this, about 6 to 8 inches long, especially if the tree's recently fallen, or if you're clearing an area where there's still live trees and stuff. Don't cut the branches off flush, leave them sticking out about this much, about 6 to 8 inches. Reason for that is all the resin and that in the tree will seal up the end of that branch. It'll seal it up. If it's somewhere that you come back to regularly, you can just cut one of those little stubs off and it's absolutely full of resin. Like, people go out and they'll buy all this fat wood and all that kind of stuff. Well, great, yeah, you can go and buy it if you want, but it's there's so much fat wood laying around here. I could fall over it all day long and it wouldn't be a problem. This jacket I quite like. I bought this recently. This is from Northbound Gear. It's not a super thick coat, but it's got a thermal kind of liner on the inside. So another fire kit. Good fire steel. Now this is a good fire steel. This is a prime example, right? This is a really good fire steel. The tool that comes with it is this stainless steel. Who knows what the hell this is? It's made by Yuko, but I think this is some kind of stainless steel, and it throws a reasonable spark. But this tool is nothing compared to like the back of my knife. At the back of my knife with this thing, I can shower sparks like it's going to end. This tool, yes, it will make a spark, but it hasn't got a particularly good edge. I need to grind a better edge on it. So that was an expensive one. Those other cheap ones, they throw just as good sparks. This will last longer, you know. It's a much bigger ferro rod. But every single pocket that I own pretty much has a kit in it with cotton balls. I have so many of these little containers. People that use these little mint things all the time, I say to them, when you've got them, keep the containers. I'll take the containers. And I must have, or I don't know, couldn't tell you, every pocket pretty much. Because the one thing that will keep you alive out here more than anything else is fire. You need heat. You know, if it's minus 20, you got no heat, you're dead. Simple as that. You're not going to survive. It's not an option. I don't care how many books people read and all this kind of crap. Trust me, you don't have heat, you're not going to survive. So you need a way of making fire. So that's all around here. I mean, this stuff all burns really good. These trees, there's a lot of snapped off trees here. There's a nice one over there. Let's see if I can get that branch. I'll bring it over. You know. This is one advantage of all this wind-blown trees in here. All the stumps. Look at this. This is bone dry, pure bone dry, easy to light a fire with. Not much resin in it. Some of the bits near the bottom there got some resin in it, but it's this where the trees have all just snapped off. This stuff is amazing, absolutely amazing fire lighter. This stuff will take a flame. Crackles. I don't know if you can hear it crackling, but this stuff for lighting a fire, if you find a nice down tree like that, all the wood at the bottom, it splits out real easy. That is perfect lighting wood. You can make feather sticks out of that in about 5 seconds. So it's brilliant. So I'm actually going to keep that. Stick that up there now, because this is a spot I do come through fairly often. So I do have, if I'm out camping somewhere, so it's starting to slow down there a bit now. And if I can get that you just take that ring off the top. That's pretty hot. Now in the bottom of here, what we've got is amazing charcoal actually. If you were making glue right now, if I was making some glue, I'd actually put that fire out now if I was making glue. There's loads of that pine resin that you find on the trees. If you take a bunch of that pine resin and smush it up, and you put about 50-50 between the pine resin and that nice charcoal in there, it just makes amazing glue. Don't get it on your hands. And I made some the other day. Don't get it on your clothes either. I don't know if you can see that. It doesn't come out. It sticks really well. And as you can see, that's burnt through. That's actually pretty impressive. As you can see, you could build a really nice little shelter underneath there. That tree's a good size. Yeah. That tree's a good size. They make a good ridge pole. Yeah. That tarp is, let's say, it's 5x7. Actually folds out really big. But, you could literally just using that tarp, you could make a nice shelter across there. But my big tarp I could have literally right out over the top of here. I wouldn't be too worried about camping out here overnight. The only thing here is orientating the fire. I'm sure I wouldn't have to look too far through this forest to find a slightly better site. I did find one over through that way actually. I did find a much better site. It was flatter, had a nice tree that I could sit on. However, there was a couple of trees leaning over about 30-40 degrees or so, big ones. So I thought, nah, not in the windstorm. As you can see, you can't really travel too much through here. Let me just get over here a bit. This whole forest, every which way you look, it's just a game of pick up sticks. This is why people get lost. You know, they'll come out in the forest and they'll start wandering around. They've got no clue where they're going. They don't have a compass. They don't know which way's up. They can't navigate without any, you know, kind of, they don't have the GPS. And I can tell you now, cell phones and that don't work out here. There is no cell phone coverage out here at all. Absolutely none. So I actually figure that's not a bad little spot. It's fairly well sheltered. A little bit of a divot there. It can't odds that. Looks pretty good to me. Yeah. There's some little bits of stuff in there. A few twigs. The way it goes. And so that charcoal in there is actually really nice charcoal. These little stoves, they actually make amazing charcoal. So if you're making glue, like pine resin glue, if you've got a container, you can just kind of warm up the resin, melt it down a bit, put in it. You want about 50-50. So you want decent amount of pine resin, because actually when you melt it, it doesn't turn into a lot. So you need to collect a good bunch of that. There's loads of it around here. And that charcoal mix in there really nice, makes a good strong glue. Yeah. When the native guys used to make their canoes and stuff, they would seal up all the seams and stuff with that, because it's very waterproof, completely waterproof. And I can tell you now, it sticks. Whatever you put that stuff on, you better want it there, because it ain't coming off too easy. Yeah, quite impressed. So I'm going to let that burn down, cool down. This big piece now should have cooled down, and in the snow. As I say, be very careful about places like this. Last thing you want is a burn or something like that. I always have a first aid kit with me. The top two pouches there. And here I have first aid kit and emergency stuff. I have paracord in here, and I got blankets in here. You name it, I got it in there. If it's not in that pack, you don't need it. Yes, I got big tarps, little tarps. I got blankets in there. I got all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Anytime I come out a place like this, I always make sure I have enough stuff with me. Basically, if I had to stay overnight, I could. This tarp, like I say, the inside of this one has that reflective lining on it. So if I build like a lean-to, I put that one up first. There's like a backdrop, like an angled backdrop. I just do an angled backdrop like this, and then if I was underneath that tree, I'd make sure that was right. Yeah, apologies for that. Push the wrong button. Right, like I was saying, if I was building a shelter out of that tarp, I'd put it underneath that tree first, use that as a reflector to bring the heat back towards me from the fire. Then I'd have my 9x12 over the top of that, which would be perfect. That would just keep that really nice. I think I will swap out this battery because this one's getting a little low. I think I shall swap that out. I've got a whole bunch more batteries in there. Right, battery swapped out. Now, here's a prime example as to why you never leave a fire just burning. This charcoal wasn't smoking, looked like it was out. And let's see if I can do it. I stirred it around, and as you can see, still lots of heat. So people will go out and they'll make a campfire and they'll leave all the charcoal on the ground like that, and they look at it and they think, oh yeah, it's out, I can't see no smoke coming off it or whatever. And then the wind will blow it around like that, and hey presto, you've got yourself a forest fire. So that is a big no-no in my book. I hate coming out. I have walked out through the bush before now and found campsites that have obviously not been used for a couple of days, and I can still feel enough heat in the ground because it'll actually burn into the ground. So I'm going to put a stick in there. Now that is a wet stick, so I'm just going to try a little experiment here. That's a wet stick. That was pretty much, it was laying in the snow, so I just literally picked that stick up out of the snow. And that is now starting to burn. Yeah, just shows you, doesn't it? People think a fire is out. It's not. Soak it down, put snow on it, do whatever you want to it. Make sure it's out. Yeah. Look at that. There's a lot of heat still left in those embers. But I have literally come across campsites that people have like left the day before or whatever, and you go in there and you start raking around in the coals in the ground, because all of this forest floor, if you look at this, it's pretty frozen now. But some of that could be a foot thick, that could be 2 foot thick of like dead trees and branches and all decomposing in the ground. Well, that stuff can actually burn down into the ground for quite some time, and it'll just sit there smouldering. And it'll smoulder and smoulder and smoulder for some time, sometimes even days, sometimes a lot longer. And then all it takes is a good wind to come along, and hey presto, you got yourself a fire. Yeah. And as you can see, the amount of fuel around here, there's another snapped off tree over there. The amount of fuel around here is horrendous. I'm just going to take you over to that tree that was snapped off here. So this is what you're looking for. Look at this. They got some nice pieces on the ground here. Lots of nice broken bits here. This piece here. Oh, look at that. That is just firewood waiting to happen, that is. And you look at that tree. That tree's a good 14 inches through. Yeah, inside of this tree is rot. See all this? This is just, I don't know if you can hear that. That's rotten wood. This stuff's actually good for a fire. People would look at that wood and think, oh, that's no good, but it'll actually hold heat and it'll smolder for this. Look at this. That piece of wood there, if I was lighting a decent fire, like if I was lighting a big fire now, oh yeah, that'd be on my firewood list. So I'll just put that back in there. Always handy to have this stuff ready to go. A lot of places I go, I'll take firewood, and if I've got a whole bunch cut up, if I cut up some nice dead standing pine or whatever, I'll stand it up, and always stand the wood up. Okay, you don't want it laying on the ground, because if it lays on the ground it will just rot. But if you look at this, that is good wood. I like the fire with that, you name it. There's hundreds and hundreds of these laying around, and they're not laying on the ground, so these things dry out. They are absolutely amazing firewood. They burn for some time. Only trouble is a lot of this in here is pine, and it crackles. That tree over here, just keep an eye on that fire, it's only got one stick on it. This tree over here, climb over that. These trees, these are some of the most important trees in the forest. That tree's been snapped off there for some time, and I can tell you now, there's probably more insects in that tree than you know what to do with. Yeah, these things are very important. Yeah, I wouldn't cut one of those up for firewood. I can actually see there's millions of little holes in it, places for insects to live and what have you, and it's all part of having a healthy forest. You can see with this tree, that one there, that's where that one snapped off. Look how rot that is. Yeah, that is just rot, absolute rot. There's another nice snapped off one over there, so loads of really good firewood in here. Good and odds it. If you couldn't build a fire in here, you shouldn't be in here. Yeah. The only thing is there's lots of tree stumps over, so I keep seeing big brown lumps in the forest there where all the tree roots are pulled out the ground. It's always a good idea to make sure that they are actually tree roots and not walking around on four legs. So that's another reason for me continually yabbering on. Some people are probably thinking, I wish you'd just shut up talking. Yeah. Nope. Human voice travels in a forest. I see people with bells and stuff. You have all these like bear bells and stuff like that. I call those lunch bells. They're like cougar lunch bells. So where the cougars know where to come and find you. They're more for making people feel happy than actually being of any bloody use whatsoever, really. But however, it makes people feel comfortable out in the forest, and that's fine. But if you're not comfortable being out in the forest with nothing, then basically you shouldn't be here, because you need to know what you're doing. Yeah. Yes, human voice. I've done numerous experiments. I'm ex-military, and we used to do all kinds of experiments with sound. You'd be amazed at how far the human voice can travel, even in a forest. Even in a forest, especially if it's windy. That sound will travel a vast different distance, and wildlife can hear it from a very long way away, and so can people. Oh, I thought I heard the train again. Oh, here's my buddy the squirrel. I saw the squirrel over there earlier on, and I saw something move. It's amazing how good. That's why I haven't put this tarp up, because I did think about putting the tarp up across there, just to show you how I put these things up. And basically I just string a line straight across, tarp over the top, done, finished. Makes a nice little back shelter. Excuse me. Yeah, campfire smoke. I just got a lung full of campfire smoke. You can just string that across there. I can make a shelter out of that tarp. These things are 15, 20 bucks, whatever they are. Absolutely brilliant. Come in all kinds of different colours. And I can make a shelter out of that. I don't need to cut up 50 trees to make a shelter that I'm going to use for one night to make a video. You know, I see people doing it all the time, and it's a good skill to have. Don't get me wrong. I'm not belittling people that do it. It's a good skill to have. It's a good skill to know how to do. However, you're also cutting up 50 trees, cutting Christ knows how many branches off of the trees, how many leaves, and people build these good like the beds out of all the branches and stuff. It's the trees need those leaves more than I do, just to sleep on for one night. If I'm coming out camping, like camping, I'll also have on the bottom of that pack, I'll also have my bedroll, as I call it, and in there is a proper foam pad, really good one actually, and I have an old yoga mat which rolls up to next to nothing. Somebody gave me that, and it's surprisingly comfortable, and it's actually very good insulation. You wouldn't think it is, because they're very thin. Good grief, I can tell that fire's died down. Bloody smoke. Hang on, let's get that the way of smoke. Yeah. There we go, that's better. The yoga mat is very thin, it's incredibly light, rolls up to nothing, and is actually really good insulation. I've tried it just literally straight on snow, and they are surprisingly good. Yeah, it's anything that can separate you from the snow is good, because you don't want to be losing heat to the snow. Yeah. Only, like I say earlier, the only thing that will keep you alive out here is heat. Whether that's internal heat, external heat, heat through eating food, hot water bottles, boiling water, whatever. Big fire, you know, you put a bloody great fire through the middle of there, you can actually make a really nice fire. However, you have to have heat. Like I say, that doesn't matter whether that comes from your food or fire or what, but you need it. Yeah. You can hear the crows. They're up there somewhere. Like I say, these trees are pretty tall. Some of these trees are probably 80, 100 feet tall. But all these big trees fall down, and it lets the light hit the forest floor, and the next thing you know, the next generation of trees is growing up through it. And all this wood that's laying on the ground, like anything that's laying on the ground around here, rots really, really fast. Anything that's not on the ground, literally you could come back here 40, 50 years from now, and if that tree's not on the ground, it'll still be there. Yeah. They don't rot very fast. It's a very dry climate. We're about, I'm going to say where I am now is probably about 4,000, maybe 4,500 feet above sea level. So trees don't rot too fast up here, I can tell you. Very dry. But on the ground, whole different ball game. Yeah. You can see there's lots of squirrels around here. See all the little pine nuts, but they've eaten all the pine nuts. I'm pretty sure that this spot has been used by deer as well, because I can see it's been flattened out. I can actually see some fluff over there, so I'm pretty sure deer hang out around here. They're going to come back and go, hey, what idiot cut my branches off? Where's my branches gone? Yeah. The other thing that's essential is decent boots and spikes. You see these spikes, you gotta have spikes. Like, I used to do this without spikes, and let me tell you, that is such hard work. It really is. I've no idea how I even used to get into some of the places I used to go without spikes. So, right, so I'm going to stop yabbering for a bit, put this camera down, going to make sure all this charcoal's in there and then the embers are burnt right through, and then I'll do some more in a minute once I've got everything cleaned up. Yep, so I've got all the bits of stove apart. Just let them all cool down in the snow. That's one good thing about living here. Doesn't take long to cool all this stuff down. Now these are the embers out at the bottom. This is all that's left out of it. And as you can see, now if you just left that, it will catch fire. Like all this stuff that's around here, you can set fire to that. So I am going to soak that down in a minute. Going to pour some water on there, soak it down, get some snow on it, and then make sure it is absolutely stone cold. And the way to do that is put your hand in it. If you can't put your hand in it, it's not out. Right, so I've packed up most of my stuff, my pots and everything put away. That is all that's left with the fire. That has been soaked down. I've put about a half a litre of water on there. I've put snow on there. I've stirred it all round. I've put my hand in there. It is stone cold. And that's how it should be left. Like that. You can spread it around all over the show, but if there wasn't so much burnable material around here, because I'd be paranoid that there's one little coal in there that I didn't see. So if I leave it all in one spot, soak it right down, I can put my hand in there. I've dug it all up. I've mixed in no end of snow and ice in there, and before I go I'm going to chuck another bunch on there as well. Now some people think you can just have a pile of ashes or a fire and just dump a bunch of snow on top of it and it'll go out. Well, what can happen is the heat will ice over the inside of the snow pile that you put on there, and you'll be surprised how well that will actually keep the embers going. You got to mix it up. That's what they always say, soak it, stir it, soak it, stir it. Just keep doing that. Yeah. Until your paranoia is over and you're sure your fire is out. Yeah. Last thing I ever want to do is be responsible for a forest fire. Oh, I like the forests. I like being out in the forests. I don't mind making campfires and using the materials that I find around me to make stuff and what have you. This is my hiking pole. It actually works very, very well. It's just an old broom handle. Works good. It's good for measuring the depth of snow, because around here you could be walking through this forest and you see a piece of snow and you step over a log and it could be 3 feet deep the other side, or 4 feet or whatever. That's kind of not very good, especially if you jump over a log. Anything you do out here has to be done slowly. Yes, you cannot walk fast through here. You cannot run through this forest. Forget all the ninja stuff that you see people doing and all that. Nah, forget it. Slow and steady through a forest like this, because you fall over and break a leg out here or bust up an ankle or something, let me tell you, there ain't nobody coming to get you. You've got to get yourself out, and that is not easy. That is not easy. You can carry those PLB1s, the emergency beacons. Many years ago I used to use something very similar to that in the job that I did, and they are absolutely fantastic. But as soon as you push that button, you're now international rescue. You know, that gets very expensive, and you're putting a lot of other people's time and effort and what have you on the line, and also it can be dangerous for them, you know, especially coming in somewhere like this. If somebody got hurt coming to get you out because you were being an idiot, you know, that's kind of something you've got to live with for the rest of your life. Yeah, so yep, always take responsibility for yourself, know your limit and stay within it. That's what I always say. We are not getting any sunshine today. Looking at that cloud has set in. I know over towards the mountains, when I come over, I can see the Chinook cloud, and it comes a wind again. Hear that? See the trees over there starting to go. In the summer you've got to be careful. I wouldn't camp I don't like camping in forests like this in the summer, and I'll tell you why. I tend to prefer areas with smaller trees or out in the open. And people think, oh, get out in the forest, it's great. But around here we can get some pretty violent thunderstorms, like very violent, especially in the summer. We can get hailstones the size of golf balls, very common, yeah, even bigger baseballs. And but we also get microbursts, and they just come out of nowhere, and you just get a wind front come through, and it's like boom, it just hits out of nothing. So you can have the best prepared site you like, but I would not be in the middle of this wood camping in the middle of summer. Just not going to happen. No. This is an area I travel through to get to where I'd like to go in the summer, but this is not somewhere I would ever camp in the summer. You know, you get trees like that falling on you. That's not very pleasant. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Nice cup of tea before I get going. Right, I'm going to get all the rest of this stuff packed up, get all my gear on, and head out. Right, this is my site and I'm leaving. As you can see, everything is packed up, everything's cleared up, fire is well and truly out. Nothing there whatsoever. It's going to snow in the next couple of days, and lots of it, so I ain't too worried. That I know is well cold. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of video on the way out of here, just to give you an idea. I have all my junk with me. The pack's not too bad. I like to have this pole, because this thing has actually been very good over the years. Have a little thread on the top there so I can hook a camera on it. My other big camera was a little bit heavy for that, but this new camera is very good. So, all right, show you how you navigate out of this crap very slowly. Is how you get out of places like this, because it all looks like that. Like I say, you fall over, you break something out here, you're in trouble. But what you've got to watch out for is all these little eye pokers. Look at that. Oh, look at all that firewood. Perfect. Most people get excited about who knows what in life, but I get excited when I see really good firewood. Now, I left myself a trail coming in here, as you can see my footprints here, that I could literally follow myself out of here if I had to. I left myself a trail that, you know, I could literally crawl out of here on my hands and knees and I could still follow my trail. So I know I came over that log on the way, so I'm just going to wander around the other side of here. Give you an idea, just so you can see the snow here. Yeah, that's where I was wandering around earlier, just exploring. This is what you've got to watch out for snow. So you don't know how deep any of this snow is. There, so that's only a foot. That's a foot. That's a foot. You know, there's some reasonable snow in here. You don't want to be stepping on. Here we go, over the top. You don't want to be stepping into any big holes. Look at this. Yeah, this is what you're navigating through. Now I'm toying with the idea of going straight up that bank because I know where it goes, and it might be easier to take you out a different route. Now there is a creek over this way, which I really don't want to. Actually, there it is. Right, let me show you this. Closer to that piece of creek than I thought. Right, so if you look at, see this, right? This is danger. Right here in winter, this is dangerous. Look at that. See? This is why you have to be careful. I can see that there is a hole under there. Look at that. That is halfway down my pipe, right? That's why you've got to be careful. And if you look over there, I know that there's a big creek right here because I've been in here before, right? This here, this looks solid. If you look at the colour of it, you can see it's that dirty watercolour, right? So to get from here to up there, you think, oh, I'll just walk across there. But is that solid ice? Or is that like that piece I just showed you that's hollow under there, and there could be a 2-foot gap under there? See the creek over there? See where it's kind of melted down the side? You fall in there and you hurt yourself and there's water in there, you're done. You're going to go down with exposure so fast you won't believe it. So I'm just toying with the idea of whether I can get across here some kind of safe. Plenty of down trees. If I can get across to that bit over there. Let's have a look. It's the only trouble with a pack. I'm just going to have to remove some of these. Apologies for the crazy angle. Getting across here in one piece is rather more important at the moment. There we go. Right. You wouldn't think that was too much of a challenge to get across. But let me tell you, crossing something like that in winter can be lethal, literally. So I'm going to head up there as soon as I can get over this log. Am I going to go around it or step over it? There's another tree hole there, so you've got to be careful there. It's very tempting just to try and take the easy route. But like I say, anything you do out here, you've got to be careful, methodical, slow. Slow and deliberate. Now, I can see up across here, because the animals that live here are smart, right? So the deer and that live here know the best routes in and out of here. So, look at that tree. That is a beautiful tree, lovely tree. However, that is a prime candidate to come down in the wind. Don't want to be under there. Otherwise, you end up looking like this one. Don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Look at this place. Oh, you can actually see the creek better from here. Right, I'm not going to go down across there because I'm actually going to go up that way. But if you look at that, see, there's liquid water under there. And it's very tempting to kind of go down and across those things. Those little ice shelves, they're not strong enough to hold your weight. Trust me, they're not. You will go right through them. And if you do that and you get wet, you better be able to light a fire in 5 minutes, because if you don't, you're in big trouble. So I'm going to take the wimpy route out, which is actually straight up this bank. Now, apologies, because I don't know what I'm going to find up here. I do know where it goes, and I know it will actually take me to, you know, that, believe it or not, right there, that is cow shit. Yeah, all up through this whole area in the summer, they put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cows up through here, and people think, well, what the hell do they do that for? A, it's cheap grazing. Look what a deer have come through. Look, see, they broke those branches off, so that's good. That is deer, that's not people, that's deer. This is a deer trail. I don't know if you can see that, but it's fairly evident to me, but I don't know if it makes sense to people, but that's a deer trail. Now, as a general rule, if a deer trail is going uphill, it's usually going to good food and shelter. If it's going downhill, it's usually heading to water. So I can guarantee you, deer are smart. See? Look at that. Deer through here very recently, small deer. Yeah, very recently. I would say today or yesterday, because that is fresh deer poop. I had to pick up sticks all the way up through that forest on the way in here, and that was hard going. So I'm going to head out up over the top of this piece of mountain. It's only a small mountain, or like a big hill, not really much of a mountain. It will take me to a much better way out of here. May not look like it at the moment, but this is actually the easy route. Once I can get up top of this ridge, I should be good. Might get a bit windier up here though. Oh, look at that. Now, people go on about dead standing. That tree there, that's a whole night's worth of firewood right there. That one tree. Let's have a listen. Hear that? That is firewood special. That's like the Rolls Royce of firewood, that is. Let me tell you. Right. As you can see, there's a bit pick-upsy stick in here too. So I need to be up the top of that ridge over there. That's where I'm heading. So let's see if I can find my way over this lot. Let's pick a route. Yeah, that looks a bit more realistic. Let's go that way. Slow and steady. There you go. It's for the size of these trees snapped off in here. Snapped off like twigs. It's in this snow. See? Back to deer again. These are the things you're looking for. These are the ideas. They're going the same place I'm going because they know it's easier travelling up the top of this hill. They live here, or just visit. Always look for the fresh broken branches. There's rabbits in here too, look. Little rat traps. Rabbits in here. Have to head up. Oh dear. Well, my plan was to get out of the thicker junk at the bottom and stepping over bloody great trees like that. A bit of a pain after a kilometre or two. So this, straight up there. That's where I want to go, up that way. Oh, here we go. Get under this one. Always have a look before going under. I can see where the deer have gone under this one. Up. Always have a look. Make sure there's nothing still in the process of falling down. It's way easier for the deer. They got four-wheel drive. I don't. If you look here, you can see very evident. See the way all the branches kind of line up in a straight line. Yeah. Then you get to twigs like this. That's still yellowy orange on the inside. Hasn't gone grey yet. So we know that actually whatever broke that was heading downhill. We know that they picked the easy route too. There's a tree here that's leaning that I don't like the look of. This one. So, fight my way through this shit. It's only trouble with a pack. Get out of it. There we go. Right. Hey, look at that. Blue sky. Woohoo! I'll take that shit. Oh yeah. See now, see? Look at that. You know what that is? Aeroplane contrail. Some bugger going somewhere warm. And here I am in the middle of a forest. I can guarantee you I'm probably enjoying myself more than they are. Yeah, it's a bit steep coming up there, eh? That's why we do it. Let's see if we can spin round here. See the height of the pack on the back. That's what makes it kind of awkward, because you're going underneath branches and it snags. So you've got to be a little careful. But if you look, see the trees? They're smaller. So if I was camping now, this would be a better forest. Now, oh yeah, see, it's cleared out a bit now. Oh, more fresh deer crap. So I know there's a good healthy population of deer in here somewhere. There's a hollow there. See that natural hollow in the ground? It's where you tend to find deer. Well, whichever way they went wasn't this way, so my guess is they went down through there and cut up through. So that's one good thing about winter. In the summer you've got to be a little bit more. Oh, here we go, rabbits. See, we've got rabbits around here. So if you were looking for food in the winter, you know there's rabbits here somewhere. Let's just swap that around. There we go. You know there's rabbits here somewhere. I'll tell you now, they're not as easy to catch as people think they are. Yeah, because they don't want to be lunch. They're actually pretty smart. Yeah. Something's had to bark off that one recent. I can see little scratch marks in there, little teeth marks. So this time of the year you'll find that the food's in short supply for a lot of the deer now. So they start eating the bark off the trees. They prefer the aspens. So if you see those little black marks on aspen trees, what a lot of that actually is over the years. Hang on, just pay attention, get over here. Don't trip ass over tit. There we go. Over the years, the deer will eat them, and where those scars are on the tree, they just become those big black marks that you see. See how much this forest is thinned out. Yes, this was a wise choice. Harder to get up that first bit, but definitely a better choice now. That's where you'll find deer sleeping at night. See that? Perfect, eh? Deer hotel, that is. That's 101 Deer Street. Yeah. I'm very nearly at the top of this ridge. And I need to head that way, but I'm going to go this way for a little bit, because I know in summer there's a spot over there that sits a bit wet. Like I say, if it's icy, I don't want to be crossing it. Right. So we got grey sky that way, a little bit of maybe sunshine, a little bit of maybe blue sky over that way. And the Rockies are that way. Rockies are west. These are the foothills. As you can see, I can tell that this forest at some stage where I am now, this was machine planted. I can see it is. Yeah. This was machine planted up through here probably 30 years ago. These are very small trees, but if I look, I can see natural lines, and natural lines don't exist in the natural world. They don't grow in straight lines. People put them in straight lines. So this would be a much better camping area. Only problem with areas like this, you've got to be careful. Ah, here we go. Deer crossing. Deer came through here. You've got to be a little bit careful, because the snow can vary in depth considerably. Like that. Step into a hole. Let's go over here to these couple of aspen we've got growing in here. See if we can see any tumulks. I can't see any on these two. But these, this is the stuff they like. Just if I can line up with these trees. I don't know if you can see it down that row of trees there. It's kind of a straight line. Yeah. Yeah, the deer like these trees. This is a good mix of forest actually. This is a nice little bit of forest. If I keep heading, I'm actually heading south at the moment. If I keep heading south, yeah, look down through there at the trees. See the way they're all in a straight line down through that gap. Machine planted. Like I say, this is probably about 30 years ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago. As a camping spot, this is much better, much safer. Any of these trees fall over on top here, you're likely to be pretty good. There's a spot over there I can see. That would be a good candidate. And as you can see, this is quite considerably flatter. There's plenty of snow here for water, so I don't have to worry about fires and all that kind of good crap. So I'm going to head that way. Only thing is, the snow is a lot deeper here. This snow is averaging about a foot deep. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's kind of icy snow too. It's not cold enough to be frozen. I like it in the middle of winter, like when it's -30, because you walk on this snow, you actually walk along the top of the snow, you don't break through it. This time of the year, because we're in January now, that's where I'm heading out that way. See where it's clearer. Yeah. This time of the year, the snow is more. It's more conducive to snowshoes as opposed to spikes, but whatever. This will do me fine. Just going to switch this off for a bit, let the camera cool down, and do some more in a moment once I get out of this snow. Can you give me a demonstration of how well human voice is? I'm not too far from a trailhead now. I can hear him, I don't know if you can. There's some people down that way. There's some people literally 200-300 meters that way. Hear the voices. Kids. Adults with kids. Hear that? No, I can hear that clearly. So imagine you're a bear or wolf or something out here. That's how well human voices travel in the forest. Basically what I've done is I've come up over the top of a ridge, and I know if I keep heading south I will end up on the trail that they're on. I've done a fair bit of trekking over the top of here that I haven't videoed because it gets a bit boring wandering through trees all the time. Hear them? The black marks I was telling you about on the aspen trees. See these aspen trees? See these little black marks? That's where branches and bite marks. Yeah. You always get the black marks where the branches were, but you'll also see those darker pieces that are kind of ripped off. That's where the deer and what have you will eat the bark in winter. You can actually, the layer underneath this bark, you can actually eat that. It's not very nutritious. It'll keep you alive, just about. Tastes like crap, but it'll keep you alive. But you can actually eat the underneath of the bark. But unfortunately, in the process of peeling it off, you're pretty much condemning the tree. So that would be a survival only thing. And as you can see, the snow here is a lot deeper. I've been post holing all the way through this snow. Some of this snow is a foot deep, like some of it's 2 foot deep. So that's why I stopped to just take a bearing. I'm heading straight down that way. I'm going to go straight down over that edge, over the other side of that hill once these people are gone. There's a fairly easy trail down there. That's why I came over the top, because the way I came through, I was basically following the river uphill, and it that was just too much tree hopping over very, very big trees. It's like pickup sticks on steroids. But as you can see, the deer and that come up through this way as well. A lot of deer tracks up through here. Some of them fairly fresh too. Yeah. Right, I think those people have gone up the trail. So time for me to move on. Okay, so I've got a lot closer to these people. Listen. That's how well voices travel through the forest there.